The podcast you are listening to of Holmberg's Morning Sickness is brought to you by my friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Trust me on this one. You've had barbecue before, but you haven't had it this good. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale, ericsfamilybbq.com.
When was the last time you had really good Texas-style barbecue? Eric's Family Barbecue, the way it's supposed to taste. Always delicious, never rushed, and prepared to perfection. Eric's Family Barbecue uses only 100% fresh meat, slowly smoked over mesquite wood until it's juicy and delicious. We all know their brisket is the best, but have you tried their pulled pork ribs, or rib tips? Amazing, and their sides are all house-made. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Make the trip. You won't be sorry. Go to ericsfamilybbq.com for more information.
This is a treat. We didn't expect this. You were not supposed to be here, but here you are. Hal Sparks is here, everybody. And
That's right.
And filling in for Cristela Alonso.
That's right.
Who has a HIPAA violation.
Yes. No, we cannot.
I don't remember what it is.
No, she cannot. We do not speak of why anybody can't do a show ever. It's just comedy rules. You know what I mean? Yeah, because it could be
usually it's a drug addict.
In the comedy world, there's a broad swath of things. It could be anything from you have a child custody hearing that just came up. You told a joke that you thought would fly and ended up getting punched in the face. Oops. And now you have a caved-in cheekbone in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then there's whatever reason.
Whatever she's got. But
Yeah.
the reason we don't say it is we're protecting ourselves, because if we say what it really is and it turns out it's one of the things you just mentioned, we look like liars.
Right. That's true.
So I just say we don't know. I do know exactly why she can't make it.
Well, that's just – we don't even want to dangle that.
Well,
there.
No, not at all, because child custody is a hard thing to deal with.
Ouch, that's so terrible.
And you don't want to
Especially
say.
when you're the child.
Don't go
it's
there.
weird to be an adult and want to be a kid, but I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. You know what I mean?
Let's wait until the tests get back.
Look, if you can be trans age –
what does that mean?
You know about that dude who says he's 6 or 8 or something like that, and he's got a family that takes care of him, and that's a
real thing? I thought that was
it's real crazy. I don't know that it's a real thing. Yeah,
okay, but because you can imagine.
I think it's
your own
actually
age.
an insult to the genuine trans community.
That's exactly what I think.
That's lunacy. Yeah. And I think it's terrible to pile that on them. It's like blaming black people for Rachel Dolezal. You know what I mean? the white lady.
Well, it was her fault.
Black and red.
If it weren't for black, she wouldn't have done that.
Well, she would have had to be somebody else.
That's
I don't know that it would have been that.
I blame the black.
I think she just picked one in Seattle in that regard or whatever.
She had a wheel. She spun it.
Yeah, exactly. The wheel of minorities.
Yeah.
This will work.
I'm black. Well, you got to hand it to Rachel at a certain point.
Do you?
She still
became
living
president of the
NAACP.
That's amazing.
That's commitment. You know what I mean? Now, you know how much work you have to do to turn Soul Man into a documentary?
The best part was when it all came
Horrifying.
down. They show her picture, her white parents, what
happened?
We don't know what's going on. Absolutely, she's like the school shooter of just racism. You know what I mean? Like the parents, we had no idea. She seemed perfectly normal.
She was quiet.
And she went to school one day and came back talking about hip hop and she wanted to see Cat Williams live and follow him on the road. We didn't know what she was saying. No, Mama, no. In the background, what is she? What
she did talk about coming to America.
That's how they
once.
knew. She started to quote
Cat Williams. Right? She's like,
something's different about Rachel.
Doctor, we're very concerned about Carol. She's
not just the kinky hair, but these weird quotes that she's saying.
She's perming herself, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're just afraid she's going to get a neck burn. It's worrisome.
He keeps calling her
worrisome.
dad pimp.
Yeah, right.
Hal is here. I have to read this because Matt from the club said it, and because you're last-second replacement now.
Right. People don't know. They don't know I'm here.
That's right.
Welcome. Hi, everybody. Come on down.
Always great.
Yes.
Free tickets. Mm-hmm. Which is good, great for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Good for my bottom line.
Right.
Yeah, come down and kick food out of my kid's mouth. That's right. You could buy tickets after a pandemic when I'm venturing back out into the live performance world, endangering myself like a comedy EMT. But no. Get free tickets. What's the code?
Club still wins. You got only pay the service fee. That's it. The ticket people and the club people win. You're out.
Dirty.
Promo code KUPD at checkout when you go to TempeImprov.com. All you got to do is put KUPD in the promo code, and you get free tickets to go see Hal tonight. Tonight, all the way through Sunday. You're staying the whole weekend. Holy cow!
Yeah.
You got to call yesterday.
Right.
It's amazing that you're like, I'll do it.
Well, and I was just on, I was just in Madison, Wisconsin the week before that, and then Burbank the week before that, and things are in fits and starts.
Yeah.
things are kind of getting to abnormal, which is nice.
You mentioned that you're in a cover band, or you started a cover band.
Yeah, Nerd Halen.
Is that part of the?
You could follow us at Nerd Halen on Twitter. But yeah, we dress up as nerds and do Van Halen songs. And my buddy Caleb, who's our guitar player, is an Eddie sound-alike, can just nail it. And he approached me. I was doing the Ultimate Jam Night at the Whiskey. We do that almost every Tuesday, where we just a bunch of musicians and people who are super talented like myself come down, and it's just a themed night. It'll be like grunge songs, or it'll be 80s hair metal, or some a tribute to Dokken, whatever it is. And nobody rehearses. Everybody just shows up knowing the song. And then you just count it out, and everybody does it. And it's amazingly professional, the entire thing. Like, it's incredible how well
that's
it goes.
the thing about musicians who are good. They don't want to make fools of themselves.
Exactly. And
everybody shows up.
You're up there with, like, dudes from, there's a picture.
There's Nerd Halen right there.
That's right. Yeah, now I have long hair. By the time it's done, there you go. There's me doing the David splits.
Wow.
Man.
That's a healthy jump.
Pretty limber.
Yep. That's both of us, yeah. No, and that's not a spring stage. That's just
you're not like on some sort of a gymnastics thing.
Absolutely,
that's a real deal. Look at you.
Yeah. So it's been a great time, and it happened at a really unique time. It was like right before, about 8 months before the recent unpleasantness, and I was just very aware at how everybody was kind of wound up, both politically and socially. Everybody's kind of sphincterized right now. Oh, yeah. And I was like, and I do a political show, I live stream a show and all that kind of stuff. And I talk about all this kind of stuff, but you need an outlet that's away from that. Otherwise you'll lose your mind.
Exactly.
And Caleb comes up to me at the jam and he goes, I'm a guitar player. Because he's on the autism spectrum, he's pegged right at the Eddie part of the needle. Like there's an Eddie needle.
There's an Eddie
point.
spectrum?
Yes, absolutely.
No kidding.
If you know Eddie Van Halen, like, shipper crowd, the people who love him, like, that get there, remake the guitars,
right?
Like, tune the
wear
amps,
the shoes,
make everything. Like, they're into it, and I have such a depth of respect for that. Going into that, because it's kind of like being a prepper militia lunatic in Michigan, except you don't intend to kill your neighbors. You know what I mean? Like, it's that level.
You just want to shred for
that level of commitment, but it's fun, right? So these guys, like, he comes up to me and he goes, I need a singer. I'm starting this project called Nerd Halen, and we dress up as nerds. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I didn't even listen to him finish the sentence. I'm like, let's do it. The world needs it.
Yeah.
The world, and because I had just done, like, Jump at one of the jams 2 weeks before, and he'd played guitar on it, and he was awesome, and it blows my mind every time he plays. Yeah. So I'm like, let's just do it. People need this. People need something they can go see that just lets them off the hook for a little while.
We just did that with my band the other night, and then Singing Dead, and we did. And the one song I wanted to kill was Sympathy for the Devil.
Sure.
Because Charlie Watts just died, and we rehearsed it, and I'm like, I think this is just in the center of the set. It's just kind of a drag.
Yeah.
No.
No?
That's the only time through the inners I could hear the crowd singing back.
Oh, wow.
They were screaming back.
Yeah.
Like, this song is just destroying it. And it gave me that feeling like people just want to goof off.
Yes.
And that was that moment where they just let loose. I'm like, this feels
And also,
great.
most of the people who listen to your radio show normally are devil worshippers.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very true.
I was
also
speaking
big
to
on
that.
the Halloween soundtracks.
That's right.
Every one of them had it on there.
True.
Like,
yeah, it was crazy, though, because of that moment where you're like, this is fun. Look at this group of people. None of them probably get along. Mm-hmm. If you get into certain topics, we'll fight all day long.
Yes.
You got vaxxers, anti-vaxxers,
right.
Politics and everything. But here we are. And once again, music just goes, let's play.
It's so crucial. Like, even in, like, I do the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour with Stephanie Miller and John Fugelsang. We do straight up politics. We do jokes about politics, names, and all that kind of stuff. But in my regular stand-up, like, I've always been sort of maybe socio-political at best. Right. But I feel like it should be a bonding exercise.
Yeah.
And it's with the whole Chappelle show thing, or the Chappelle, I guess, show-related issues, there's been a lot of back and forth. The idea is back that there are areas you can't joke about. And it's not really that you can't joke about anything, because I think you can joke about anything.
Right.
It's just you have to be talented enough to do it. And nobody is like me. And so
that's true.
Yeah,
you're the only one that should be allowed to do this.
I've done jokes about all of these subjects, never been canceled.
Yeah.
And never even had I had one woman walk out of a show, but it was because she was drunk and had peed herself.
Well, yeah.
And I think,
because she was laughing so hard.
Well, she was mad at me for making her pee herself, which I did. because I know this special move that I learned.
It's called orgasmic incontinence.
Yeah, right. Yes,
it's very.
I learned
very
it from watching Remo Williams.
The
actually.
Kegel
So you
laxer.
tap on the back of the hand and makes him urinate,
And they lose it.
Yeah, she was so up. But the point is like I believe, and this kind of tied to the music thing, is that a comedy club is like a mosh pit. If you walked in, you don't go to metal shows and you don't know what a mosh pit is, and you walked in and you saw all these people moshing, you would go, Jesus Christ, a riot has broken out. This is violent. This is horrifying.
Yep.
What you don't realize is these guys are like that there, so they're not like that outside.
Yes.
You get rid of that. You take the edge off. You have that experience in a controlled environment. And that's, to me, what comedy clubs are, is that you can speak about everything and joke about everything because everybody there is consensually there that we're going to laugh about life.
Right.
And if you come in and you're kind of like, I think that's offensive. That's wrong. Then you're like a nun storming into a swingers party going, everyone stop. This is horrifying.
It's a wet blanket.
Right, yeah.
Although, hottest swingers
I
party
gotta say,
ever.
if it's a leather
That
nun's
might step
outfit,
it
you
up.
might have me.
The second the nun cracks the door, I'm harder
I'm
than
not
ever.
even a Catholic, and that's the only fetish I
I'm
have.
an atheist, then I'd be like, for
Right.
just a few minutes.
Oh, that's
with the
adorable.
nun.
I didn't know you were a bot. We now found out he's a sim.
Yep, I've been simmed.
That's
I'm
my
simmed in.
theory, by the way, that we all live in a giant simulation,
And it's broken.
No. I think it works exactly like it's supposed to
Oh,
because it's
God.
fun and crazy and full of learning and awful and like you would make it. You know what I mean? What do you want? A video game where like, I was able to do laundry with no interrupter. No interruption.
Yes, I would enjoy.
Yeah. So there's obviously real people who enter into the sim and play the game, and then there's
the glitches.
non-player characters.
Yes.
And that's what atheists would be.
You think that's? I'm a non-player.
Yeah, you're right about what happens after you die.
Yeah.
Because nothing happens.
I think that's true.
Right, but that's not what happens for other people. They leave the game. They go to another game.
I see.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. It
I'm
works
totally comfortable
Absolutely.
with that. Yeah.
And how people who enter the game treat non-player characters is indicative of how well they score in the game once they go out in terms of how morally they're allowed out in the real world that's beyond this space.
I
The
like
next
that
game?
analogy a lot. Yeah, I'll take it.
Because in reality, and I don't want to blow this for everybody and upset anyone,
go.
but the world's never going to end. It's going to go on and on and on. The end is never nigh.
Yep.
And outside this, when you die, you wake up in a little goo chamber that looks sort of like what, like Luke Skywalker when he was injured in Empire, and he's floating in the thing, and you pull out the hand thing and go, "That was amazing." And I was like an 80-year-old mathematician, and I died by being hit by a car, and my wife tried to murder me. It was fantastic. When do I go in next? And then you go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and after 10,000 lifetimes as different people, you're an enlightened being essentially, and then they let you out into the real world where everybody lives to be 3,000 because you would never let anyone who lives less than 100 years walk around in a world where everyone survives past that age because everybody's too stupid.
I prefer this.
Yeah.
I like what you've come up with.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
The goo chamber.
Absolutely.
Does it have a name?
Well, no, I mean, it is. The Matrix stole from that concept.
Yeah.
There's always been
Sure.
those kind of ideas around for a long time. And even the Old Testament has this idea that there's a dome over the whole thing. You know, that they talk about the sky is, ceramic, which it might be. Have you been up there? Like, I love the flat earthers. You're like,
You can't prove anybody's done it.
Yeah, the Earth is round. What, from pictures? Yeah, plates are round. They only get. Have you seen a 3D picture of it? Yes, I have. It's a composite.
Yeah, you can't argue it.
Yes, because I cannot see the front of a tree and the back of a tree at the same time, dum-dum. How do you know these trees aren't two-dimensional?
They could be.
Maybe
Till
they
you get to the other side.
Maybe they're just turning when you walk. Like, you don't know. You don't know.
I'm a believer in solipsism.
All right.
I'm a buyer of that one, which is I am my own God, and everything is only my consciousness exists. And once you're out of it, I don't know if it's real or not. So I can only go on what I know.
That's what a bot would think.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they
I'm fine being a bot.
only res out the world into them.
That's
when you're
exactly
playing
right.
a video game, the rest of the play space
Doesn't show.
opens it, but it doesn't.
Does it exist?
Doesn't even bother to res out. Which is, by the way, why we're discovering new like planets and stuff like that. Because as we look, it continues to res out.
Are we, or am I? And you're just in my simulation.
No.
That's solipsism.
No. You are reading data that is, is my experience, and
I
you're
see.
meant to think that so that you don't glitch out and become basically like I can tell you're fake.
Oh,
which
okay.
would ruin the whole
You
thing.
know I'm an ad.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I see. All right. I'm just purchased content.
Yes.
I like
think we're
that.
changing lives right now.
I think
didn't
so,
know the
too.
conversation was going to go from Nerd Halen to the fact that we
It's
live in a
pretty
sim.
awesome.
But it's kind of, it's important that you know this because you'll relax a little.
Right. The uptight factor of not worrying about dying is so much more
absolutely
like a great way to live.
All you have to know is that if you're an immoral monster in this life, when you wake up in real life outside them, they'll murder you.
Oh, well, geez, I better settle down then. I better stop all this immorality.
They won't murder you straight away. They'll use you for parts because we're all genetically modified and stuff to live to be 5,000
When
years
did you start having these thoughts?
When I realized that everyone around me was doing drugs and I had to keep up. No, mentally. I had this kind of chip on my. I've never done drugs, never drank in my life. Never.
No kidding.
Never.
At
Not
all.
once.
All
Not
right.
Not interested at all. And I'd always have these people, like friends of mine, who were like, you don't really know expanded consciousness about concepts and stuff unless you,
Right.
They like that Joe Rogan concept that you're not a person walking around who smokes pot is not them plus pot. A person who walks around who has not smoked pot is them minus pot. You're not you until you've done it.
Oh, I see.
They're big into
Gotcha.
that. And then what's the other one?
The DMT stuff.
Yeah,
Yes, right. You're not you until you've done all the drugs in the world, which seems a little ridiculous as concept. I think you come whole, and then you can add. It was like aftermarket parts. You can add a better monitor. You can, you can get silicone implants.
Nothing wrong with that.
I agree. I think muscle implants are a mistake, but we'll get into that later. Because if somebody's going to go,
I'll write that down.
Help us lift this bookcase off Grandma. My biceps are fake. Like, thanks.
Sorry, bro, I can't do it.
Yeah, like that is madness to me.
Yeah. I do like that the guy who is that into himself is also there for the trash.
Right,
I mean,
here
he's
he is.
really like, oh no, this is
Of course
the
it
chickens
is,
have come
because
home.
we live in a sim and life is going to put him in there.
But wouldn't that make Grandma's death hilarious?
Hilarious.
Like Grandma died because plastic arms over here.
Like he's straining and then.
But he
and
looks
just
great.
It was this huge splash of silicone and Grandma was dead. She was gone. She died. Did the bookcase crush her? No, she choked on silicone. It like squirted out of his arm.
It would be even better if you knew the guy had all the fake stuff, but nobody had ever talked
Dave,
about
come here
it.
and help.
Yeah, and then you needed him, and you're like, bring it up. I don't want to watch
Hey, can
this.
you spot me?
I
Dude,
can't.
spot me. You can totally do this.
I've got a bad tendon.
Dude, I can't. You know what I mean? When you do it too much, I heard that you can do it too much.
I did buys yesterday. I can't spot you.
Yeah, phony muscle guy is hilarious.
Yes.
Because they, like, what are you doing?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
there's just nothing about
I understand fake breasts because
Absolutely.
that they are fat-filled and they are also, with age, they change and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes.
And women have every right to modify those kind of parts. But the functional parts of your body,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Don't get it.
No. I'm Botoxing my knees because I don't like the wrinkles. You're like, well, your legs don't bend anymore. Yeah, but I got better posture now.
Oh, imagine
so.
that.
Yeah, busting out the functionality for look is
Right.
just, it's different. And although then you could get into the argument that why would you get a fake lung or heart?
Well, because they're functional. They actually
Sure,
do work
but,
as
I
good
mean, just
as...
for looks, though.
Oh, yeah, right. That's true. Yeah,
silicone,
designer heart?
silicone lung.
That's right.
because yours are sticking
Why'd
out
you get a
too
window on your chest?
much. Look
Look at this. I got a heart transplant. It's
It
fabulous.
bulges out of the
I'd like to
chest.
see that.
Oh, man.
We're turn on your hard light. Everybody looks like E.T. is the new look. Turn on your hard light.
Hey.
Let it shine wherever you go.
You should do that.
He
Nerd
wrote
Diamond.
that song for E.T. and they didn't use it.
I know.
That's
It's
so
sad,
beautiful.
And he still went like, F you.
Yeah,
and he
right.
released
Released
it anyway.
it, of course.
And then
That's
went
what
on
you
a tour
should do.
going, it's for E.T.
Yeah.
I loved him too much.
I loved E.T. too much.
It was a little strange, a love song for E.T. from Neil
Yes.
Diamond.
Spielberg said they weren't using it, and I said, ouch.
Idiot. Hal Sparks is here. Free tickets if you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is go to tempeimprov.com, promo code KUPD.
I think they're getting too much comedy this morning.
I think you're
honest
right.
to God. I think they're overquoted
Let's
almost
bring 'em
already,
down.
and I'm doing 2 shows tonight.
2 tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, you filled in the whole deal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I wouldn't have done that.
I know.
One and then
I'm
yeah.
a professional.
Oof, you're a pinch hitter. And
Yeah.
now you're
Just
in
playing
the
the game, bro.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. What do you think about the Pell thing?
I thought the story that he told about his trans friend who died was beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And the entire here's the issue, and I think this is the hardest part to get people to understand. There were no trans jokes in that whole special. The subject was his understanding or lack of understanding about a giant social movement.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with because honest to God, how he feels about it is never going to change a trans person's life.
Right.
It really isn't. It's about, like, I don't get it.
More to me, it was about him navigating what had happened to him because of jokes.
Right.
And it was his experience.
And that's also, I do have, I'm a huge Richard Pryor fan, but I love, like, Hank's Place and Black Ben the Blacksmith and the, and the albums pre-1975. Because after that, he was basically TMZing himself.
Right.
Like Live on the Sunset Strip is Richard talking about shooting his car and
lighting on fire.
Doing blow and all that stuff. And those are, I mean, it's interesting. But his take on life was what makes a comedian. Yeah. And fame will sometimes ruin that for you. Right. And to some degree, Chappelle has been pocketed into that situation in his own life. And it's shaved off. And, we were talking about Cat Williams earlier, but interesting, like, on the same kind of parallel in that community as far as comedy goes, Cat's managed to dodge that. He's had a lot of extreme life things happen, and even jokes that have been taken, wrong and got him in trouble before from his own community and from other folks. And it's fascinating to me that most of 80% of his act, when you see him, is about life stuff.
Well, because you stop having a life when you're Dave Chappelle. Life is it's
and
like
that's
your solitary
why I pitch
confinement.
it.
That's exactly right.
And that's why I rent a car and stay in town all weekend.
You're
and
still
that's
an
why
observer.
Yes, because I have to be. Otherwise, what are you joking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like watching Seinfeld now. Like Seinfeld shows, he's a great joke writer and a great craftsman, but
he doesn't have any life experience
now. He's worth $300 million every time he sits down.
He can't relate to us.
No way. He's got he married his 18-year-old model friend or whatever. I totally get it, bro. Do jokes what it's like to marry an 18-year-old model when you're pushing 60 and you're sitting on $300 million. That don't involve. She's just going to murder you, right? Yeah. Like, that's the only joke I would be able to relate to is that we all have the fear that, like, one of these days, man, I'm going to have some cash and then I'm going to finally get the girl I've always wanted. And she is going to hold a pillow over my face while I sign a piece of paper blind.
With my mouth. Yeah. Seinfeld's old shows, the audience would say, oh, my God, it's so true.
Yes.
And not anymore.
No.
Like, there's no way to sit back and go, oh, that's so accurate.
So not what I lived through.
But I do like that he leans into it, though.
Yes,
he says stuff
totally.
like, I'm so rich, it doesn't matter anymore.
Ricky Gervais, same thing. There's certain people who they've adapted fame to reality. And I think
Larry David.
Yes, we all have a picture of what it would be like for us, especially with all the reality show stuff and been around. So I think everybody has an idea of what it might be like. Yeah. And so we pruriently live through those people and those jokes that we would make or wouldn't make us laugh about ego and that kind of stuff. And I think that's always been there. Steve Martin did that famously, at the height. He would always joke about how great he was.
How
and that
amazing
kind of stuff.
he was.
Yes, right. And the audience went along with it because if you were in the same position, you'd kind of feel the same way.
It's stuff you're not supposed to say when you're in that position.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I love.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, I think Chappelle's special was his best special, not his funniest.
Right.
But his best work.
Well, I mean, and again, this is the problem with activizing comedy to some degree is that, and again, the joke, you can joke about anything, but the heavier the topic, the more of a support structure the jokes have to have.
Yeah.
They have to be incredible. You can't put a boulder on toothpicks.
Right.
And a little try. I mean, that's the Michael Richards moment. He tried to think he thought he could go from 0 to Lenny Bruce in a millisecond, right? And you can't. No. You have to build a substructure of trust with your audience to joke about any of these things in the first place. Right. And the jokes themselves about it have to be extraordinary, which is what I do for a living. And not everybody can do that. You can't always,
What you're saying
there's only so many master craftsmen.
I'm saying, Dave Chappelle, if you need notes, I'm here.
Right.
I'm glad to do it.
He needs you.
Yeah, he does.
Is what you're saying.
He really does. Stop hanging around with Kanye and come over to my house.
New comedians should take Hal's advice and never build a joke strictly on 14 or 15 N-words.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with that.
I don't think that's good advice. I think that's really solid.
Yeah, and I would say that same with musicians as well. I swear to God, if country music was anything like modern hip-hop, every country album would sound like an ad for saltines. It'd just be cracker, 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 cracker. Like, calm down.
If they just incorporated own use of
I know only you can use that word, but is that the only word you can use? I get it. Congratulations.
That's the best SAT example of rap music I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I know only you can use it.
Yes.
But is it the only thing
word
you can use?
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, right.
That's absolutely
That's just
great.
word hoarding at some
Yeah,
point.
it is.
Like a lot of modern hip-hop guys are the crazy cat lady with piles of dead cats of rap. If the N-word was dead cats, you would bust into their house and they would just have
Loads of dead cats.
piles of them everywhere.
Yeah.
You're like, is this really necessary?
By the way, Hal, next special is called If the N-Word Was Dead Cat. You have to Hal Sparks If the N-Word Was Dead Cat. Please, God almighty, please.
And I don't and would never, and I have no interest in ever using the word.
Yeah, but if you just said the N-word was dead
Yeah,
cats.
exactly.
And it doesn't ever
people,
get into the special.
Yeah,
it's just the
my
title.
problem is a lot of people wouldn't watch the special because they'd go, you know what, I get it just from the title.
Yeah, that's all I need to see.
That's all I need to see. I understand.
I judge. I am out. Yeah, it's great. You're always fun to talk to. It's a
agree.
shame you only show up when Christella can't be here.
At least it's not Crystalia, I suppose.
Oh, that's he can't be here for other
He's
reasons.
coming back.
He evidently attacked Christella Alonso, and that's why the two of them can't be here this week.
No, that's what it was.
That's what
He
it was.
mistook her for a 15-year-old Instagram
It's now a
influencer.
health condition.
Yes, that's what happened. The truth of the matter is she's not sick at all. Yeah,
She got Dalia?
She's trapped underneath Dalia.
And the other message to the young comedians out there, there is enough scattered ass on the road to not ever, ever, ever have to do anything illegal.
Yes. My friend Ralphie May used to get laid a
Bless his heart.
lot.
Oh, my God. Yes.
There's no reason to force this on anyone. None. Or just to whip it out and say, interest?
Right.
You'll find someone interested eventually. Or just take the night off.
Well, see, that goes into sort of the Louis C.K. zone of things. And the only detail I would ever add to the Louis C.K. thing, then he's a pig with weird sexual fetishes that I do not understand at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to get
Beating
everybody
off in front of people,
I don't
you
have to
mean?
get everybody's kink, right? But some of them are just so off the rails.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know what the good is. Like, you know what I love doing? Mooning people from a phone booth. Like, okay. I don't know how that ever gives you pleasure. I guess it does, but I don't get it. And in this case, I would like to say to everyone who might go up to the room with a comedian, the last time someone went up to the room with the comedian, they had sex with them.
Yes.
And the time before that, and the time before that.
Pavlovian.
Yeah, and it's not you. And it's not even them at this point. It's habit. It's how this kind of situation. And if a guy invited me up, a comedian invited me up to his room, or a guy wanted to come up to my room as a friend or a comedian or whatever, I'd be like, let's go to the bar. I think you want to. He's going to try. He's going to try and take a poke. And I wouldn't blame him. I look fantastic.
Yeah, you look great. You're
He's
great.
going to be in my room.
The hair now, the long hair.
It's luscious.
And you're in a Danko Jones shirt, which I couldn't appreciate more.
Oh, and I
love that.
The fact that you know it.
Oh, we love Danko.
We love
He's
Danko.
the best.
He's such a good guy and such a good soul and so much fun. And he has a podcast about Three's Company.
The television show?
Yes.
Danko Jones does?
Danko Jones has a podcast
breaking down
every episode of Three's Company. I was on it with him.
What episode did you talk about?
Oh, God.
I know Three's Company pretty good.
Yeah.
All the way through the Cindy years.
It was one about a restaurant or something like that where, it's one of these like...
Jack's Bistro?
Yeah. Yes, Jack's Bistro.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Go ahead.
That was the name of it. And
then he sold it, right? Or
Well, Jack's Bistro became Three's a Crowd.
Right, yeah.
Three's a Crowd.
Totally.
And, Danko he's Canadian, fantastic. And when I moved up to Canada to do Queer as Folk, I was basically like sniped out of my entire life. When that happens to an actor, you just move, and I have no friends. I don't know anybody. Don't know anybody in the cast really yet, even. Yeah. And I was like, I got to get a life up here because I'm going to be here for a while. And I love Rush. I'm a Triumph fan. I love Canadian rock. I'm all in. And I love the fact that Canadian rock audiences, and I'm calling you out, American rock audiences, are there to have a good time.
Yes.
They are like, they go and they have no irony. They are just there, like, this is awesome, eh? This is so much, it's fun, isn't it? Like, that's their soul.
You're not calling out people like you're not a true follower of
Yeah,
Rush.
right. You're not judging people's shirts or sitting there with their arms crossed or whatever. And so I just dove into the Canadian music scene while I was up there and started listening to Static and Stereo, which is Todd Kearns' band. He's in Slash's band now.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that band, fell in love with, like all the subsidiary Nickelback bands like Default and all these guys who all went to Bryan Adams' studio to record all their stuff. So
He's
they
the
all,
only one there, though.
Yeah.
But Bryan Adams owns all the
Yeah, he
studios,
does.
yeah.
He's the godfather of
Atlantis.
Canadian rock, yeah. Weren't you like 6 in the summer of '69?
Right.
Anyways,
Wasn't that old then?
You know the story about? Oh, that's such a great story.
What is it?
Okay, in a second.
Okay.
But anyways, I went down to see a live show. I was like my third night in Canada.
Yeah.
I never spent any time up there. I go down to a club called Government where we were shooting Queer as Folk, this giant club scene, this giant gay club scene. The following weekend, I was like, there's metal bands playing there, rock bands playing. And it was Nickelback, Default, and Danko all together. Jesus. And I was like, this is great. This is the single greatest walk-in show I've ever seen. And everybody was in tune and on time, and it was amazing, and everybody was there to have fun. It was like it fallen into 1984 rock concert someplace.
Yeah.
You're like, this is
party.
Great. It was lovely.
It's my complaint about rock music now is that we've pushed all the women out of the show because we want to fight and light fires.
We had a big fire.
Slipknot was here Monday.
I know, I saw that.
And they had to stop. And then I'm like, guys, why are we lighting fires at the show? Mm-hmm. Eventually we're not going to get invited back to the party.
Well, I think there's a tipping point. Eventually you drive away, and then there's so few girls that you start lighting fires because you're so angry.
You've done it to yourself.
Who did this? Yes, unmanaged testosterone is a true danger.
The argument back to me, it's effing metal, pussy.
Right?
And I'm like, well, I can't really fight that. But you stopped the show. Well, the band ran away, so it's not that bad.
Excuse me 1 second. The last word you settled on there piqued my interest.
No, there's no last.
Could we just let's all push the argument aside and discuss that word for one moment, if we could?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's gauge our interest.
Okay.
Between you and me, whoever that guy is. Okay, Bryan Adams story, real quick, because we're
almost out of time, but go. Yeah, we got stuff to do.
Bryan Adams is on a morning show promoting a live show, and sometimes people have to roll through Good Morning Seattle, and they have to set up a small rig and do an acoustic version of a song or whatever. And they normally he does the hit off the album and then one tune. That's how they usually roll. And I've done these live with my band.
Right.
They're nightmare. The sound is horrifying. I mean, radio stations are tough, but at least radio stations care.
Right.
They don't care at morning shows. So anyways, he's showing there, and he does Summer of '69. And while they're doing the song and everybody's clapping, the whole Karen hair women who are on the show, and the weather guy who's just a bitter former worker. Yeah. And the woman comes up, and I'll never forget this. And you can look it up too. This woman comes up and goes, we were talking while you were doing your song, and which is a horrible thing to say to someone anyways.
We were bored.
And we were saying that, we did the math, and in 1969, you would have been 8 years old, right? Is that? Right. And he goes, oh, that's not about the year 1969.
Yeah.
And she goes, what's it about? And he goes, it's about a year in high school when my girlfriend at the time and I discovered a certain sexual position.
And then we'll be right back at 74 degrees outside.
Blood drained out of this woman's face, and everybody turned gray all at once.
Dean, is there an Alberta Clipper coming down from the side?
Now, for the record, Summer of '69 is one of the most metal
it's
songs
it's
ever.
Yeah.
Because he managed to get it on the air. It's like the idea that the first Poison record is the biggest punk record of the '80s because they dressed up as women.
Yeah.
And they did these songs, and they're 50s style pop songs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Punk did.
When they
You're like, we spit and fight and stuff. Yeah, everybody does that. These guys are actually dressed as women, and in an era where that's not okay.
Right, and might kick your ass, and also you're sort of attracted to a couple of them.
They're messing with you.
Yeah,
He's beautiful.
Yeah, right.
Cece's pretty.
Right.
What's happening to me? Yeah, you question yourself.
Her hair looks crispy.
It did look like they'd light on fire real fast, though, didn't it? Yeah. Anyway, Hal Sparks is in town for no reason whatsoever. Always
comedy.
great to have you. Yeah, it's always great.
Which is the Lord's work.
That's comedy at the Improv this weekend, and again, free because he's just showing up to fill in and helping out. So you
two shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow, and 1 on Sunday.
Promo code KUPD at TempeImprov.com. Leave us with words of wisdom quickly.
Clean up your act.
That's exactly
GYST.
right.
Get your S together, folks.
Perfect. Thanks, Hal.
Stop. Be nice.
Always a pleasure. And a Danko Jones shirt to boot.
Pathetic.
98.
That's it. That's bonkers!
You've been listening to Holmberg's Morning Sickness Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Eric'sFamilyBBQ.com.